Hey friends, Kelly here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm working again in my 2017 Project Life book, and you might have seen my catch-up video where I talk about how I'm tackling just catching up on a year's worth of Project Life several years later. And if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I will go ahead and link that above here for you. First thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and pull out my photos and get those trimmed up. Now these are photos that I had already printed quite a while ago and just popped into the pages. So rather than pulling out a brand new pocket page, which is what I would sometimes do, I'm just going to go ahead and work on the one that's already in there. I am pulling out a kit of sorts. If you were following me along on my Instagram page, I have been doing a 100-day project, or I had been rather, of memory dex cards. And for 10 of those cards, I worked on just this Dear Lizzie, She's Magic bits. Yeah. And when I was done with the 10 memory dex cards, I just put everything into this bag and I built a kit. So I've pulled that out and that's what I'm going to work with today. So first I'm going to go ahead and get my photos into where I think they're all going to fall. Of course, you know that'll change. And then I'm going to go through all of the die cuts. Now I have a ton here and there is a reason for that. But I'm going to go through them. I'm going to start pulling out things that I really like. And so far I'm leaning towards the florals. I end up leaning towards all of these tickets and tags, and then also some hearts. So before I go any further, let me show you where I'm getting all of these from. If you're not already familiar with AC Digitals, this is where I have an obsession. And then when I went on to look at this today, I saw that Maggie Holmes' Sweet Story is out, and oh my gosh, it took everything I have in me to not buy them. But at any rate, this is where I get a lot of the die cuts that I use. I purchase them as digitals, and then I typically do buy the whole kit, which is also giving me papers, and then I save them obviously to my files. And then what I'm doing is I'm pulling them out and I am creating die cuts with my silhouette. And you get a ton. You get so many things if you buy the whole collection, and they come as individual PNGs with a transparent background, a lot of journal cards, and it's just a ton of stuff. So I cut those out on my silhouette and then I set them aside and I come back and get to use them. Now this particular little bunch has a few from a few other collections. So I just had combined things that I thought were really cute. There also are some pieces in there that were from an ephemera. Oh, that is such a hard word. Ephemera pack that I actually did purchase. So, okay. Next, I'm moving into pulling out the papers, and there are far too many papers in this little kit for me to go through, and I need to pare that down because it was too many pieces to choose from. These were all 12 by 12 pages that I had cut up, and so there's two sides. It's just too much choice. So I do need to go back in and pull out some of them. But I'm going through and pulling out the papers that I like, and I have a lot of indecision going on here. I swapped things out a ton, and I was really struggling with the direction I wanted to go here. I go back to those papers over and over, and then I had this rainbow card that I had originally cut for a memory dex card, and I'm just going to trim it down. It was a pretty thick card because I had already backed that, but I decided it would be far too much trouble to pull that off the backing, and once it's in the pocket, what's it going to matter? So I go ahead and use that. Then I go back into the papers and I pull out the other few rainbow pieces. I really loved all of the vibrant color, but I didn't want it to look so much like a rainbow. I decided I was going to turn the pieces so it wasn't as obvious of a rainbow. I mean, it's still obvious, but you know what I'm trying to say. So then I've gone through and I've pulled out this grid piece, and it's funny because there really aren't that many spaces that need paper, but yet it's such a hard decision for me to make, and I find that happening over and over and over again. Next, I'm going to go through and start plunking down pieces, and I had these really pretty black and white florals. I really loved the sketched look of them. I had 3 when I started this process, and yet somehow I have lost one. So I ditched those and decided that it's going to just be hearts. Now I've gone away and looked through my stamps and pulled out some alphas, and I have this idea of stamping in white. I have this white ink pad. It's the Moonlight White, Memento. Oh gosh, I'm really messing that up. I will link it below. But I pull that out and I really want to stamp on this dark blue polka dot paper. And then once I've stamped it, I've realized that it still needs something else to help it pop off the page. So I've gone and pulled out some of my glaze and gel pens, and I've settled on the idea of either a white outline or a black outline. So I have a black jelly pen, I have a black glaze pen, and then I have my white gel pen and my white, I want to say it's a souffle pen. I will make sure, actually, I will try to link it below, but I gotta be honest, I don't even know if that's something you can still get. But I believe it's the Sakura Jelly Roll. At any rate, one of my favorite pens. I love having that on my desk, ready to grab at any moment. So I've gone through, I've tested them out. Of course, I already forgot which of the white pens was the right one I wanted to use, so I have to go back and test it again. I had pulled out these little alpha tiles, and I know the green would work, but I've decided I don't want to use those. I want to stick with stamps for this page. So I've gone in and pulled out some more stamp sets. I've just gotten some new ones I haven't even really had a chance to look at and play with. Some are from Citrus Twist kits, and then also this alpha stamp that's sitting over here to my left from Illustrated Faith. And I love that little outline stamp, the alpha. I plan on using that a ton. So I'm going to work a little bit more here on my title card. I have pulled out some washi tape that's actually from the Dear Lizzie She's Magic collection. And then I've gone back into a stash of tags and labels that I have printed and cut. These were from Illustrated Faith, and it's just sheets of these rainbow grid tags, and I will make sure to link that below as well. They're a great staple, especially if you work with a lot of color, which I do. I'm always in the rainbow, and so these are going to be a staple. I will print them and cut them over and over and over again. Something that I will probably always have on my desk. So now I've gone in and decided to start putting some of these elements onto the actual page. I'm going to just go ahead and randomly put these tags, rather tickets, I should say, just all over the page. Now the tickets don't really have any significance to what stories I'm telling this week, other than I guess you could correlate the softball game to a ticket because it's a game. I don't know. Sometimes I get too literal with things, and sometimes you just have to wing it and let it go. And that's one of these weeks. So the stories on this page, since I've already kind of mentioned that, are a few little things. I have my daughter's last softball game of the year. It's a big jamboree, and we usually have some family come to cheer her on. It's always her best game. It's the game where she finally says, hey, you know what? I like softball. And leading up to this point, it's been, I don't want to go. I hate it. Don't make me do it. And then we get to the end and she's like, oh, I had so much fun. I loved it. Like, really? You did? Because it didn't show. But it's always one of my favorite events of the summer. Sadly, right now when I'm filming this, it's, still pandemic time. So there was no softball season. So I'm feeling probably a little more nostalgic about that story right now than I normally would. Also because the photo of her with the two little kids, those are my niece and nephew, and they're not that little anymore. It's sad. It's so hard sometimes to go back and document things that have passed several years ago because they're just so much bigger now. Okay, anyway, on to the process. The other stories on this page are simply a haircut. I like to document my haircuts. I go drastic sometimes, and it's kind of fun to go back and see all my different hairstyles. And actually, this one I think I might be coming back to. I have lots of photos in my book of my daughter and my dog. They always end up being in the same position, sleeping in some way or another, and I think it's absolutely adorable, so I usually am snapping those. And then my best friend's birthday, we did a little Snapchat, and so I wanted to document that for her birthday. So what I kind of glossed over there was just me placing down some items. I had pulled out those word phrase little, they're not really even stickers. They're about summer, but none of them really applied. So I've set those aside. I've got some stamp sets out on my desk, and that's really what I'm gonna focus on. So now I'm just putting all of the elements down. I'm going to go ahead and back some of those pictures with the little tickets. I've tried to cut some of them down so I can save them for another project, which is kind of silly because like I showed you, I can print as many of those as I want to. But it's kind of nice to have them so that I can just pop them down. Next, I'm working on some stamping, and you might have noticed that stamp, that long stamp that says happy, 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 actually was cut. I had cut that apart for a different project because I only wanted the happy one time, and it was too much work for me to just try to stamp, rather mask it. So I just cut the stamp. I do that a lot. Once you put them back together, you can never tell. So don't be afraid to get in there and cut up your acrylic stamps to make them work for you. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just stamp out the word birthday. And these are the first time I'm using these stamps, so I want to make sure that I'm getting a good impression. And I'm really glad that I did that because that first impression wasn't quite strong enough. But I didn't really need to go in with my sand eraser because just stamping them off the one time seemed to work just fine. I'm playing around with this idea of maybe using the white on that rainbow paper, but it's not going to show. You won't see it. So I ditched that, go back to the black. I kind of liked what's the word I'm looking for? Just throwing these stamps kind of just every which way. Or askew. That's probably a better term. Askew. I am going to purposely put these stamps so that they are not lined up, and that way it's giving me just this really fun, whimsical look to the page, and also saves me from the embarrassment of admitting that I just simply can't stamp straight. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish up this 4x6 card. I really like how this came out. I just thought it didn't really need to be overdone. It's telling the story of what I want, and I've got it down. So moving on, hearts. We're gonna put some hearts down. I go into my stash here and I pull out some more epoxy hearts, and just wanted to add just an extra little element, texture-wise, I guess I would call it, and pop a few of those on and around the page. I just realized this is probably one of the first pages that I have not used my tiny attacher. I didn't do any stapling, which is kind of momentous for me. That's rare. Okay, so I've gone away and I've come back. I was really struggling with what I wanted to put on this card. If I wanted to go and try and dig through all my stamps and find something that had something to do with haircuts. And I thought about it for a few minutes, and then I thought, I'm too lazy. I'm just way too lazy at this point. Let's just get it in the book. So I go for just a simple fresh cut. I don't think it needs any more than that. No more explanation. This is what it is. I got a haircut. While I was doing that, I thought it needed something on either end, so I remembered that in this Felicity Jane stamp set, there were these tiny little squiggles, for lack of a better word. So I've pulled one out and I've put it on a block so I don't forget that I want to use that at the end. I'm going to go through and pop a few of those down. So moving on to the other 4x6 card at the top of the page, the photo of me and my husband and my daughter. I've gone ahead and placed a few of those tickets behind it. I really struggled with this teeny tiny little piece that I had saved from cutting it from a different ticket from a different project, but I'm glad I had it because it was just the perfect little amount. I'm also going to go in and use one of those jumbo grid rainbow tabs, labels. Oh my gosh, you guys, I struggle so hard with words. Why it's so difficult, I don't know. Well, I'm going to go ahead and journal, and I literally already told you exactly what I was saying. Gwen's last game of the season, it's always her best game, and she has fans. Awesome. I did not feel the need to go in and do any lengthy journaling. I don't like to do a ton of journaling. I prefer list journaling, so I'm keeping it simple. I just keep telling myself over and over, get it in the book. The other thing on this page is that I might have had something down one way, and as soon as I pull the card and start putting it in, putting everything down, I change everything almost. So I did that with the little journal card that I'll come back to. Now onto the title card. I am going to go ahead and do just some date stamping and get that on there. I like to try to push those numbers together a little bit. There's just a little too much space. I still don't love this stamp, this date roller. I need to find one that I like better. This one, it's not my favorite, but in the grand scheme of things, it's such a minor detail that I haven't gone out of my way to find something better. Okay, so here I'm going to work on the title card, and I'm going to spell out week 25, and I have these big stamps. Now look at this. I cracked up. I love that there's 2 E's, 2 A's, but honestly, I don't understand it. There's 2 K's, there's 2 P's, there's 2 G's, 1 M. Why would I ever need 2 P's? Well, I guess happy. I guess that word has got 2 P's. 2 G's I don't really get. Anyway, I digress. I just thought that was really strange, and I felt that I need to point it out. So now I've sped this up considerably, so buckle your seatbelts. Hopefully you don't get motion sickness when you watch process videos and things go really fast. But it took me way longer than I like to admit to get all of these stamps on and to get this done. So to save you guys so that this isn't the longest process video ever, which is already starting to get there, I went ahead and sped this up quite a bit. I also have to apologize for the weird lighting. It was supposed to be a cloudy, rainy day, and then the sun decided to come out in the middle of me filming this process video, and rather than me just stop completely and come back to it, I just decided to power through. So on this title card, I've gone ahead and I did what I thought I was going to do. I'm glad that I tested it out. I've outlined the word week, and then I've gone in and I've outlined the outline stamp. And then once I had that down, I decided I wanted to fill it in as well. And the stamp set is awesome. It's so fun and whimsical, and it's very forgiving. So it made this process very easy. I really do love how that title card came out. So now all I have left to do are the little squiggles and then this journal card. And I sat there and contemplated, what do I want to say? And realized I don't really think there's anything else I need to say about this. So instead of journaling, I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to put some sentiments on here. So I've popped into my stamp collection. I'm going through and I'm kind of looking through and seeing what jumps out at me. You know, what's this page talking about? It's talking about, it's our summer. It's softball. It's just kind of the everyday moments of life. So what is it that I want to say here? So because I'm lazy and did not want to get up and go and look through all my stamp collections, I decided I'm going to make it work with what's on my desk. So I've got this new stamp set from Citrus Twist Kits, and I'm going to go ahead and use that. The word yes makes perfect sense. Yes, this was a great week. Yes, this is everything I love about our summer. Yes, it's colorful. Whatever you want, apply it to that. So I've got the word yes. Next, I'm going to go in with this block that says love this. Pretty obvious, I think. Love all these things, all these people. And then finally, I am going to go ahead and stamp down, let's see, what does this one say? Memories in the making. Again, factual, true statement. You guys, I just realized as I am doing this voiceover, I'm feeling a little punchy today. I think I've had too much coffee and I'm just, I'm in a creative mood. So you have to forgive me for my punchiness. I'm just rolling with that vibe. We're coming to a close here, friends. We're coming to a close. So this little squiggle as the first point where I put it down, I realized that it connects, which is really cool. Yay, Felicity Jane, for putting that together. I would not have put that together myself if I hadn't tried stamping it down. So I have finished it out. I've got my squiggles in. Now all I have to do is put all the pockets in. So this was a really fun process for me. It was a spur of the moment for me to just throw this on my desk and get something done. I love how this all turned out, even though I was really suffering with indecisions in the beginning. And I like how the title card came out. Everything was this was fun. This was a fun page to put together. It was a fun process video to work through, and clearly I have had a lot of fun voicing it over for you. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, as crazy as it was, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and then finally make sure to hit that bell so you're getting notifications when new videos are posted. Thanks for sticking with me, friends, and I'll see you next time.